Welcome to Prep Central, New Mexico's premier high school sports show. This show is presented by Western New Mexico University. If you enjoy our podcast, please like and subscribe and consider becoming a digital subscriber to the Albuquerque Journal to help us continue to bring you more content like this. You can find this episode and all our podcasts on the Albuquerque Journal website, abqjournal.com, as well as on all your favorite platforms like YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, and SoundCloud. See the show notes for a discount on a digital subscription. We hope you'll consider that. Thank you for supporting the Albuquerque Journal, New Mexico's leading local news source. Hey everyone, welcome. I'm James Yodice. A special week for my podcast this week. We actually have two podcasts, one for the girls and one for the boys. The promo for the boys here. Look, Adam Deal and I, he's in studio with me this week. We are breaking down the brackets for the boys state basketball tournament, talking about Volcano Vista's quest for a four-peat. We're talking about the incredible wide-open nature of the 4A bracket. So we got a lot to talk about. We hope you'll join us. Hey everyone, welcome. Welcome to Prep Central, the Albuquerque Journal's high school sports podcast. I'm James Yodice, the Preps editor at the Albuquerque Journal. We're going to talk about the boys high school basketball tournament today. I have a guest here in studio. First, we want to acknowledge Western New Mexico University for sponsoring this podcast. We very much appreciate their support of our podcast. And I should mention right at the top, we have two podcasts today, one for the girls, one for the boys. I have the same guest in studio for both. Adam Deal, a co-host at 1017 The Team, their afternoon show. Adam also is the voice, the radio voice of New Mexico United, and Adam also does a lot of home games for Cleveland High School football and boys basketball. So, Adam, welcome.
Love it.
We're going to have some fun. We're
My
going to talk
favorite time of the year. You know this, James.
I do. So, as Adam and I sit here, it is Tuesday, March 4th. The boys state tournament will begin on Saturday, March 8th. The girls going Friday. Like I said, different podcasts for that. We're going to talk about the boys, and we're going to jump right into it. Let's start right at the top, 5A. Volcano Vista trying to become the first team since Hobbs, 1999 through 2002, to win 4 straight titles in the big division. And this is the best dynasty we've had going for Albuquerque since Hope Christian, close to 15 years ago when they started, and they were completely dominated for a 6 to 8 year period. Why don't we just start there? Volcano is heavily favored, and I would note right at the top, the 3 teams from New Mexico that all had the best chance to beat Volcano in the regular season, that would be Sandia twice. Sandia had a chance to beat Volcano twice. Hobbs and Rio Rancho are all in the other half of the bracket from Volcano. Why don't we start with Volcano? Give me your thoughts on this team. When they're at their best and they're focused and they decide they want to play basketball to the upper levels, nobody can deal with them.
Well, look, from when I started covering high school basketball, 2008-ish, this is the best team I've covered. This team, I know they have 2 losses. They're out of state against wonderful California opponents that are nationally ranked. So this is the best team that I've covered, and this is the best, I guess, dynasty that I've covered. If Volcano wins it, it'll be even, as you mentioned, with Hobbs before, and no other team has done 4 straight titles. Hobbs another time. And there's been a few times that there's been a 3-peat done. But so that being said, most of the brackets we talk about, James, on the girls' side, we talk about Sandy and Hobbs, and it's a 2-team race. Gallup and Kirtland Central, it's a 2-team race. This is a 1-team race. There's one team that could potentially, I think, beat Volcano Vista, and that only team is Sandia. They've done it twice. They're not afraid of Volcano Vista. Sandia's not afraid of them, right? They played them very tight. Now, I will say this. They always seem to start out quick, Sandia does with Volcano, so let's just pretend they matched up. I would see Sandia probably starting really well. I could see them leading by halftime. I could see them leading in the third quarter, but I don't see them winning in the fourth quarter, and everything has to go right for Sandia. Everything. And Volcano Vista has to play down. Volcano Vista, by the way, the last time they played in the Metro Championship, they had played, was it 7 games in 10 days. Okay, so that was the time they were going to beat them, and they couldn't beat them.
Right, they played a tournament in Phoenix the week before, and then jump right into Metro. So,
and that was a tough tournament in Phoenix. We're talking nationally ranked teams, and Volcano Vista more than held their own. So that being said, it would take something drastic for it to happen. Not only do you have the best player in the state with Kenyon Aguino, who one of the best players probably decorated that will ever come from New Mexico, and David Lund. These are 2 D1 players, and you add in Ryan Gonzalez, who put up over 60 points and broke the state record for threes. And then you've got Hudson Brown, who can shoot and defend, and he's
Eric Exilian.
A super good athlete.
Unbelievably athletic.
The dunking machine on this team. Yeah, so all of that combined, and then take the best coach in the game right now, and historically will go down as one of the best coaches here in the state, much like his father, and that is Greg Brown. So all of that combined equals a superpower force that I don't think anybody could stop. I think everybody agrees. But you know what? Play it. That's why we're going to play it. And if Sandia so happens to catch them, and I think it would have to be Sandia, so happens to catch them on a bad day or a little bit of nerves for some reason on a state championship, then it happens. Danny Brown himself will admit that this is almost an impossible task, but they're up for it and they're not afraid of it. So if there's one team that's not afraid of them, it'll be Sandia.
Yeah, look, I've covered both these games that Sandia played against Volcano. Sandia was up 13 points at halftime when they met in the regular season at VV. Just completely dominated. As a matter of fact, at one point, they were up 16 points. I think it was 29-13. Volcano came back in the second half. Metro tournament went down to the last minute before Volcano finally won it. So Sandia is not afraid of Volcano, but here's the difference. Sandia does not have, like Volcano does, 4 starters who are back, all closers, all who have won multiple state championships, maybe not David Lund, but all these kids know how to close. That's the thing that Volcano has, that X thing. If there's another close game, if we get to Volcano and Sandia round 3, that's it. Volcano has kids who know how to close. Sandia is still young. I mean, Gad Harris, freshman guard, fantastic. That kid's amazing. Isaiah Brown.
Absolutely great. Yeah.
Danny's son, great 3-point shooter. Zaire Ndabage, a little bit like Eric Exilian, very athletic.
And Ndabage, by the way, not a lot of people are talking about him.
No, right. And Danny said that to me. Yeah, Danny said that to me recently in the last 2 weeks. And they have Thomas Adams, the district player of the year. Boy, what if one of the best athletes in 5A. The kid's a multi-sport kid. Yeah, he's fantastic. So Sandia has the horses, and they know, that's the thing, they know they can play with Volcano, but do they have what it takes to close? That's one thing, and that's one thing completely separate. Now, we should note real quick, Sandia is only the 3 seed. There is a team between Volcano and Sandia, and that is Hobbs, the 2 seed. And I saw Hobbs play Volcano in the Metro tournament out at Cibola. This was a 1-point game with like 2.5 minutes left. Volcano won the game, but Hobbs gave them all they could want.
They got a really good guard, Pena,
night.
And they've got some size.
They got a 7-footer, yeah. And Kenyon, I remember that night, Kenyon had to adjust his game a little bit because he hadn't run against a kid with his kind of size. Kenyon's 6'7". This kid forced Kenyon to do some things differently because of his size and his length. So Hobbs a very good team. I've seen Hobbs twice. I saw him play Cleveland, and Hobbs was beating Cleveland for 2.5 quarters, and Cleveland behind Remy Albrecht, who scored 47 that day, I think, came back and won the game against Hobbs, and I saw Hobbs play Volcano. So Hobbs, a very capable team, a really good team. They did not play Sandia in the regular season if it's seeded to get that way. And as we look at the bracket, look, we'll start in the bottom half with the Sandia and Hobbs. Sandia 3, Hobbs 2. Look, Albuquerque High is a 6. Sandia is a 3. I love this. These two teams met in the quarterfinals last year, except Sandia was a 14. They played in this exact same quarter of the draw. Sandia was a 14 seed instead of a 3. Albuquerque High was an 11 instead of a 6 that they are this year, and they met in the quarterfinals last year.
I actually didn't think about that. That's pretty funny.
Sandia and Albuquerque High was an 11 and beat Sandia, a 14, in the quarters, and Albuquerque High lost to Oregon Mountain in the semis. So Albuquerque High, Ali Morales, one of the best players in 5A that you probably don't know a lot about, really, really good kid. A little bit like Thomas Adams from Sandia. I would describe those two similarly. That kid can score. Albuquerque High, a very good team. They won the regular season district title in District 5. Etrisco Heritage got them in the district tournament final. And Etrisco Heritage is in this half of the draw as well. Etrisco Heritage is playing Cleveland in the 10-7 game out in Rio Rancho.
And it had to happen that way. I mean, those two are rivals.
Yeah.
Because I know they're not in the same district anymore, but take the last decade before they got split here, the districts in Cleveland and Etrisco, much like Cleveland and Volcano Vista, and Etrisco and Volcano Vista have gone back and forth in circles here on who's good and who's not, and beating each other. And last year, these games were like in the hundreds, James, with with Latavius Morris, and you've got Remy Albrecht, who's put up 40 a few times this season, and those two guards are going to go at it. And so a good rivalry. Best guard, going to be really good crowd.
Best individual player matchup in any in any of the 10 brackets is Latavius Morris for Etrisco, Remy Albrecht from Cleveland. Both these guys could easily go for 40 in this game. Easily. No question about it. They're both scoring machines. Now, the thing about Etrisco, and I like Etrisco in this game, Etrisco Heritage is at full strength for the first time pretty much the whole season. They beat Albuquerque High by 12 last week in the district final, 55-43. Steve Heredia, the Etrisco coach, he likes where his team is at right now, and I like Etrisco in this matchup. I could even see Etrisco winning a couple of games in this tournament. I could even see we getting to a Sandia-Etrisco semifinal game.
Well, no offense to Hobbs, but nobody's afraid of Hobbs at the two seed.
No, look, Hobbs is really good, but Etrisco is fully capable of getting to the semis, and I'm just telling you right now, now, of course, Sandia would have to get past whoever. I think Sandia is playing Rio Rancho. Now, Rio Rancho is a weird team. They have 12 losses, but 7 of them are by, I think, 6 points or fewer. Sandia is not, I can't be thrilled with this matchup. Rio Rancho played a lot of good basketball, even going back to the Metro tournament where they finished third in that tournament behind Volcano and Sandia. Rio Rancho is a dangerous 14. I'm not saying they win this game, not at all, but Rio Rancho is a dangerous seed for Sandia in this game. I don't think Rio Rancho has the legs to go deep into the tournament, but
Rio Rancho's got to control the tempo in this game 100%. But they're going to have some size. They're going to have some athleticism. And you mentioned it. Rio Rancho's not getting blown out by anybody. In fact, we're playing their best basketball in the Metro tournament. Things kind of went separately as they had some players that were out injury-wise and they could never get right. And once they got right, their district was very tough.
Yeah.
You know, with Farmington being really good this year or a lot better. And the Cibola obviously much improved. And we can talk about their game, which is big. But, you know, that district was tough for Wally Salata and company. And once they got healthy, they just couldn't get right in district play in a tough district. But I would imagine
although
that
they did beat Cleveland,
wishes they had a different matchup.
But they did beat Cleveland in overtime, I think, recently. Yeah. You know, and Rio Rancho coming off the Metros, I think they had a close loss on the road to St. Mike's. They lost to Roswell, who's a really good team, a 4 seed in this tournament. So, yeah, I think Danny would be a little wary, make sure his young team doesn't look past them. But we were talking about Etrisco for a quick second. I'm looking at this. I would pick Etrisco to win this game. That's just me. And having seen Hobbs, I think Etrisco can handle Hobbs, even though Hobbs has the length. Hypothetically, a Sandia-Etrisco semifinal game would be crazy. These teams, I can't even emphasize how much these teams hate each other. They've had 2 unbelievably contentious games in the regular season. I was at one of them where fans were getting kicked out and technicals abound. I didn't see the second game, which was in the Metro tournament. These teams have an intense dislike for each other. So I'm just asking you to file this away. If Sandia happens to play Etrisco in a semifinal game, watch out for the fireworks there. I'm telling you, they do not like each other at all. And I would describe this as the most antagonistic rivalry of any 2 5A teams right now. Just file it away. A lot has to happen between now and then. Top half of the draw. Roswell's a 4. They're playing Carlsbad. Oregon Mountain's a 5. They're at home. The game I'll be at Saturday, Cibola and La Cueva. Cibola is a 9. La Cueva is an 8. Cibola beat them by 3 in the regular season. Cibola coming off their best regular season in close to a decade. La Cueva, Danny Brown told me, most improved team in 5A from start to where we are now. I love this matchup. Cibola is, Elijah Martinez, their guard. Really good player. Not quite Latavius Morris-esque, but kid
still just a sophomore.
Yeah, kid can fill it up like crazy. So I love this matchup, and La Cueva is a really good defensive team. La Cueva is a really good defensive team. They gave Sandia a lot of trouble the other day in the district tournament final, so I love this matchup.
It's at 8-9. Those 8-9s are usually those coin flip games. This is a coin flip game. It's great to see Cibola, by the way, back at a better level. It's been a while since they played at a good level, and to see them here in the tournament, not only that, but in a spot where they could advance. Now, you say that that La Cueva could be the most improved team as the season is well on.
Danny Brown said this.
I would agree. Danny Brown, I would agree. They really are. They've been competitive in their district, and they did get Sandia once and almost got him again, truthfully. And they're very young, and there are a lot of sophomores. And Eric Orell really has them playing great team defense, and they're shooting the ball well. And, yeah, so they're going to be a tough out. Either way, I could see this going. I think there's firepower with Elijah Martinez and the size that Cibola presents.
Cibola's a big team.
It probably is going to be difficult for La Cueva, but, this matchup is a true 8-9.
And the winner, we should mention, almost certainly is going to get Volcano.
Gets a date with Volcano Vista.
Yeah, Volcano Vista is playing West Mesa. West Mesa is a nice team. They can't play with Volcano. They just can't. So anyway, let's move into 4A real quick, which by far, of the 10 brackets at state, this is my favorite by far. This is the most wide open, I think, of any of the 10 divisions that we have. St. Pius is the 1 seed, and St. Pius was given an incredibly tough draw. After they play Goddard, assuming they beat Goddard to 16, they could have to play Highland, maybe. Highland has to play Del Norte, who's a good young team. A lot of people, they were kind of off the radar most of the year. Del Norte can play. I've seen them. They can play. If we get St. Pius and Highland again, Highland, I just covered these two teams the other night. This game went to overtime. Jesus Lacone looks more like Jesus Lacone than he has since he came back from his ACL injury.
That's a tough injury to bounce into right away.
Yeah.
So Highland's finally starting to look like Highland, and Jesus Lacone is looking like
right.
Jesus
He
Lacone.
had 29 the other night, hit a couple of just insane threes right in not just one defender's face, but multiple defenders' faces. I've seen Highland 3 times with Lacone. Once against Valley, he didn't look very good. He was just coming back, so he didn't look quite sharp yet. Didn't have his game legs. That's understandable. You come back from ACL, difficult. And I saw them play both games against St. Pius one in the regular season. So Jesus Lacone heating up. He by himself, he's one of those guys like Remy Albrecht or Latavius Morris. He can carry a team on his back by himself, even if you're defending him well.
Right.
So Highland's the defending state champion, beat Valley by a point in overtime in the state final last year. Highland's a team to watch. They're only 15 and 14. But if they get past Del Norte, they could have another game with St. Pius. St. Pius would hate that matchup. And Albuquerque Academy, the 4 seed, is in this half too. Academy is big. I mean, this is as big a team as I've seen in the state. They are huge. They have as much size as anybody out there, as much size as Hobbs, as much size as Cibola. They're huge. So that is a team I'm really interested to see how they play in the pit. I could easily see Academy getting to the final out of the top half of the draw, easily. Bottom half of the draw, Espanola Valley. Look, I'm hoping Espanola Valley wins the first round, not because I'm anti-Belen, but when they're in the second week of the tournament at the pit.
It's different. It's just different.
The energy in the building is much
Valley
different.
Is good.
Espanola Valley's a 3 seed, so very accomplished. Artesia, the 2 seed. I saw Artesia play Valley right before Christmas, which was a close game. Valley won by 4. Artesia, big. Artesia and Academy, to me, would be an intriguing matchup if it came to that in the final because there's so much size on both sides. Artesia has quite a few kids that played football. Big kids, big athletic kids.
Clay Kincaid, who's fantastic on the inside.
Right. Look at Valley, a 7 seed, 14 and 14, but Valley just beat Academy in the district tournament final. This is not a 7 seed you'd want to mess around with.
Okay, so you talk about this bracket being your favorite. It's got to be everyone's favorite because there's so many teams I think that could make the run and win. St. Pius, you got to love that you're a 1 seed, but even your first matchup is not easy. Goddard just beat Artesia, who's a 2 seed the other day. Now I know they're district rivals, and maybe that's tighter that way.
Portales.
And
that was I think you're thinking of Portales.
Okay, by fault, yeah. And
Portales.
But you're looking at the matchup where St. Pius then would have to play the winner of Highland and Del Norte. Okay, well, they just barely beat Highland in overtime in their district championship tournament, so this is a game that Highland's not going to be afraid of as the defending champs. And so St. Pius's road is very difficult as you look at the rest of it. I mean, I don't know. I know Ryan Myers has to be happy with the 1 seed, but if you gave him the road that he's got, it doesn't look like a 1 seed road. And look, I mean, even Artesia's a 2 seed, James. They have 9 losses this season. A lot of these teams have all beaten each other. There's odd matchups like Pewaukee and Taos. Pewaukee's the 5 seed, and Taos has beat Pewaukee 2 times this season.
Yeah, they're district rivals.
And so you look at all these games, and I just don't see a game that's safe, and I don't know who's going to come out of this mess, and I don't think that St. Pius, even though there's the 1 seed, should feel comfortable with the road that they have.
If there was any bracket, I would say that I would not be surprised if we ended up with 2 teams like a 6 against a 7, it's this bracket. All these teams, and I've seen a good number of them. Yeah, there's not one team clearly above the rest. Unlike some of these other brackets like Volcano Vista's boys or thinking about the girls like Hobbs and Sandia or Kirtland and Gallup. This bracket, is total Wild West. I mean, it could be, who knows what we can expect. That's why I love this bracket. I think it'll have the most volatility. Now, having said that, maybe all the top seeds win this week. Yeah, but to me, at least as you and I sit here today, this bracket seems like it'll have the most volatility of any of the boys' brackets. So I'm excited for that one.
And we look at all these other brackets. We talk about Volcano's the favorite, and there's a 1-2 seeds. That's what we expect. You can tell me anywhere from seeds 10 and down could make a run at this thing, and I would I believe that.
Right. So we're going to take a quick look at the other three brackets. We'll start with 1A. Logan is the 1 seed. Melrose the 2. I always love Melrose at the state tournament. Man, they always find a way to play their best basketball at state. So, and Magdalena, always dangerous at the 4 seed. Watch out for them. In Class 2A, Texaco and Santa Rosa are the top 2 seeds. Texaco beat Santa Rosa in the state football championship game, and now these two are seeded to play each other in the boys basketball final. Texaco having a great season between football and basketball. Santa Rosa too. The Wolverines 25-2. We're going to see how that shakes out. But those two seeded to play in the final. Albuquerque, as a quick side note, Albuquerque's showing really well in this bracket. Legacy Academy, which was 1A last year, Coach Brian Joyce, the former La Cueva Bear, Legacy moved into 2A. They had a lot of success moving from 8-man to 2A in football. They went from 1A to 2A in basketball. Legacy's a 6 seed. I had a chance to see them play a couple of weeks ago against Oak Grove. A couple of nice pieces on this team, but they're still so young. The program's still so young. We'll see how they pan out. We have Oak Grove, a big team, surprisingly, for a 2A team. That team has a lot of size. They are a 13. Manal, watch out for Manal as a 14 seed. They're playing Mesa Vista in the first round. Watch out for Manal. They are sneaky good, and that is a team that I would not be surprised wins in the first round. I'm not saying they will. I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised. And then lastly, real quick, we'll talk about the 3A bracket. This is a fun bracket. St. Mike's number 1, Robertson number 2. Robertson has beaten St. Mike's twice now in the last couple of weeks. St. Mike's drummed them the first time they played. Robertson won the rematch, and then Robertson won again in the district tournament final. Robertson has undergone a coaching change in the middle of the season when James Branch got removed from his job,
right?
Charged with several criminal charges. Robertson has found a way through that. I want to get your take on this because we have Robertson and St. Mike's, but other good teams from that district like Santa Fe Indian, like West, who are all in that bottom half with Robertson. But Robertson is the most interesting team to me. I saw them play Bosque early in the year. They got some nice pieces on that team, Jesse James Gonzalez, and a freshman named like George Smith, I think. Nice team. I haven't seen St. Mike's, but this bracket could have a lot of unpredictability to it.
Well, the problem is what you just said, though. Robertson obviously is not afraid and can very well beat St. Mike's, no problem. But their road to get there is going to be a little bit more difficult, and it's district rivals that could stop them, right, because of the familiarity. And so, you get West Las Vegas, and it's not like Robertson's going to be this drastic favorite in that one. But they are playing probably the better basketball of anybody, I would say, right now, James, in 3A.
Yeah, and look, 4 of the top 7 seeds are from one district. That District 2-3A.
Which has been a monster.
Which also had the Academy for Technology and the Classics, which was last year's 2A state champion. They got moved up into 3A this year.
Which they struggled in 3A.
Yeah, right. They struggled heavily because they graduated so many of their top kids off the team that won state last year, and they were in that district too and just could not compete as they moved up into that district. I hope they get things worked out. But this bracket with all those teams, I wouldn't be a bit surprised if we get 2 or 3 teams get into the semifinals from that district. We'll have to see.
Which will bring wonderful crowds to the pit as well.
Yeah, it's all about the crowds, man.
That's what I'm here for.
Yeah, whoever makes it, people never believe me when I say this. It's not about rooting for an individual team. Root for good stories, and at the pit in the second week, crowds. You want the schools that are going to bring the crowds.
Look, in the last decade, the pit has been nationally like 4th or 5th best attended state tournament in the entire nation. So it's a real thing.
Yeah, the northern schools and the Four Corners schools, when they're doing well, if Espanolas Valley boys get here, Kirtland's girls, Gallup's girls, Navajo Prep's girls, get all these teams into the pit. That's fun. Energetic. It's fun for everybody. Anyway, Adam, thank you so much for joining.
Baby.
Yep. I will see you over the next couple of weeks. We thank Adam Deal for his time today. Once again, I've noted there are 2 podcasts this week. This one talking about the boys. There is a separate one that Adam and I have done that is available talking about the girls' state tournament. So thanks for listening. First round boys games on Saturday. And then the boys begin on Wednesday at the Pit, at the Rio Rancho Event Center, and at Bernalillo High School. So going to be a lot of fun. I'll be out there all week at the Pit next week. Looking forward to it. We thank you for listening. And once again, we thank Western New Mexico University for their sponsorship. Enjoy the basketball this week, and I hope to see you from the Pit next week.